Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Today is Monday and it's Labor Day. So I have been home all day and I have not had to go to work, which has been great. So as you probably know, if you've seen this before, I work on Sundays at church. I am a professional musician. And so I always find that weekends are kind of crazy. Like on Saturdays, I get up at 5 o'clock and I go for a run. I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock as it gets into the fall and winter. So I'm really looking forward to getting to sleep in until like maybe 5:30 or 6 in the coming weeks. Here's hoping. It's all dependent on like when the run club decides to leave. So anyway, and then on Sundays I get up, I go for a run, a much shorter run, and then I go to DC for some to all of the day, depending on the week. And I live in Baltimore, so it's like a 45 to 50 minute drive in the morning with no traffic, and then on the way back it can be ridiculous depending on the time that I'm coming back to Baltimore. So I've been a church musician since I was like 8, so I don't really know what a weekend is. When I was a kid, church was usually done by like 10, maybe 11 if I went to Sunday school. So I had most of Sunday, and like in college, church was done by like 12:30 usually. And again, like in Philly when I was in grad school, again, done by like 12:30. And then I would have the rest of the day. So now that I have this commute, it's like it kind of ruins Sundays for me, but it doesn't ruin it. It just means like it's a work day. So having a long weekend is like one of my favorite things because it means I get to have 2 days, even if they're not consecutive, off. And I might get to sleep in. So I actually did get to sleep in today because, well, I would have slept in no matter what until I wanted to wake up. This morning it was 7 maybe it was like 7:30 when I decided to get up. But yesterday I was walking around after church. I stayed in DC because I went to a Washington Spirit game with some of my friends. This is a women's soccer, football, if you live in the UK or anywhere other than the US, game at like 4 p.m. done by 6, stayed around for another hour or two and just to like let the traffic die down a little bit. So I was really out like pretty late last night for me. I didn't get home until almost 10. I still got into my bed by 10, which is to me impressive of how fast I could get ready for bed. But around like after church sometime, I noticed that there was a strain in my calf muscle and on kind of a weird spot, like in the lower, but not my Achilles, like next to it, but like on the outside on one of my calves. And so I did not run today because it feels better today than it did yesterday. I don't feel it with every step today, so I know it's getting better, and I wanted to like rest and elevate it because I have a workout tomorrow. So if it doesn't feel better tomorrow, I'm not going to do my workout. I'm just going to do an easy run. But I talked to my doctor friend and who's one of my training partners, and she was like, yeah, just rest and elevate that thing. Don't run today. So I'm going to go see her like at Run Club later, and I'm going to make her tell me that it's fine or not based on where I tell her it hurts and how it hurts. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, just spent almost 4 minutes talking about how I don't know what a weekend is. And I've basically spent a day doing nothing. I mean, like truly not nothing with my brain, but nothing with my body. I didn't even leave the house. I realized I was talking to my mom at like, I don't know, 1:30 on the phone. And I realized that I hadn't even gone outside. And it's a beautiful day. I should have gone outside this morning, but I considered sitting on my porch to like read, but there's this like sticky sap thing that drips from the tree outside that just gets all over the tables and chairs and you if you're sitting there. So that's kind of annoying. So I didn't. Anyway, I did not sit outside. I did go to the grocery store at like 2:30 because I was like, I should probably go get some groceries. And that was good. And then I made a potato salad that was like in the New York Times cooking newsletter last week. Turns out it's from The Joy of Cooking from 1931. It was so good though. I just made it and I ate a bowl. It was like, you're supposed to use boiling potatoes. I just got the little potatoes and cut them in half, and then I boiled them. And then you cook bacon. So this is not a vegetarian recipe. You cook bacon, and then you take it out of the pan, and then in the bacon fat you cook celery and scallions, and then you dump those in with the potatoes, which when I finish cooking them, I like grab the peel off of them, because you're supposed to peel them after boiling. So I just kind of like yanked off the peel and like crumbled it up a little bit so that they were kind of crumbly and good. And then put all that stuff in a bowl, and then the dressing was like apple cider vinegar and paprika and mustard powder and like salt and sugar. Super simple, but it tasted really good. You're supposed to serve it warm, and so I ate a bowl of it warm, and it just like 5 minutes ago, and it was delicious. So I'll put the recipe, actually, you're gonna have to have New York Times Cooking or The Joy of Cooking from 1931 to access it, but I will put it in the show notes in case people want to access it and try it. It was good. So I did leave the house, but I was productive in other ways, and one of the ways that I was productive was that I published my feather socks pattern. So I was thinking of publishing the Catherine Moreland socks, but I hadn't photographed the last sample, so, and the feather socks were just all done. I still had to block that last sample, actually. It is done. I'll grab them. They're just right there. Drying. I blocked them this morning, but I was like, oh, the feathers is ready to go. I'll publish Catherine on October 1st. So I got myself in order, and I published it. Most of the 2 PDFs, I did a medium and a large for this one. It was kind of hard to do a small. You can sort of just take away like 2 stitches on either side of the pearls if you want to do a 56 stitch sock, I guess. In theory, I might do that. I'm just not doing it right now. I didn't really want to like make a whole new chart and like a whole new PDF and stuff. So I may at some point, but I don't like. I think most people either knit 64 or 72 stitch socks, so I published both of those options because I think those are just a little bit more common. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you like to knit a 56 stitch sock. I know a couple people who do, but yeah, I think a lot of people are also like, if people know that they want to knit a 56 stitch sock, they're often smart enough to like understand what to do with a pattern to make it so, which I commend you for. But not everybody, comes to sock knitting with the same understanding as, everybody else. So I understand that like I should probably do that. I just haven't yet, so forgive me. But it's somewhere up there if you want to purchase it on Ravelry. I will put a discount code that lasts for like, I don't know, a week. And it'll just be like Tiny Desk Knitting in all caps. I'll put it in the show notes. And you can get $1 off. It's like $5 USD, so you can get it for $4 USD if you use the code. And I will make that promotion live after I do this, after I finish recording, so that you can grab pattern for $1 off if you want, as for the next week. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, if you don't know what these socks look like, I have 3 samples and I haven't given any of them away yet, which is like crazy. So exciting. So this is the first one. So I've got feather, and then the big feather down the middle. I have probably told this story before, but I was like coming to the end of my Jane Austen thoughts. This was a couple years ago, actually. I still have to like finish knitting and releasing the Jane Austen patterns, as you might know. But I asked my friend Brianna if she had like a literary character she wanted me to design a sock based on, and she said no. Can you design a sock for Emily Dickinson? And I said sure. So this is what I did. And I think it is very effective. It's fun. The lace, it's like an 8-round repeat. And actually I did find it pretty easy to memorize after a while. At first I was kind of like a little confused, of course, by my own design. I got the chart from a Japanese lace stitch book, which was super cool. It was like a source book, but I found it really fun. I didn't make them super long. Like most socks that I knit, I would knit, 60 to 64 rounds after the ribbing. For this one, I think I just knitted 32, so it's like half. This is the first pair that I designed. I did these in yarn that I dyed myself, This is a 75/25 superwash merino nylon from Wool to Dye For that I dyed several years ago when I was like working on speckles. And I think these actually turned out okay. I don't have the other one, but I did okay with like matching. Sometimes you get yarn where the speckles, like one sock will be like heavily speckled and the other will have like no speckle. So that's not great, but this one was fine. I liked that the speckles weren't heavy enough that you couldn't, like they didn't disturb the pattern on the front. Like you can really see the pattern, especially if it's on your foot. But they were interesting, especially on the stockinette sections. I love a little speckle or a little interest. So I thought that was fun. And then when I decided it was like, you know, this year, I guess, that I was going to eventually publish them in a few months, I was like, oh, I should make another sample. And I made a sample in a yarn that I had bought when I was on vacation. So a couple years ago, I went to visit, this was actually like 3 or 4 years ago. I went to visit my friend Sachi, who was living in the Peak District at the time in England. And we went to, I think it's in Tideswell, this yarn shop called Peak District Yarns, that they do their own dyeing and they do classes and they're like super cool. You can give them a follow on Instagram. It's at Peak District Yarns. But I can put their handle, like I'll put it in the show notes. I tagged them in my Instagram post when I did my Instagram post today, showing these. And this, I wanted to buy a souvenir skein of yarn when I was at this shop because it was so much fun. And like all the colors were cool, but this skein really spoke to me. And the colorway was called Mouthwash. I was like, this is the most beautiful turquoise I've ever seen. What's it called? So the label says Mouthwash. And I was like, oh, it does look like Listerine. So this is a really soft yarn. I think it's BFL. I know they have a few different sock yarns, but it's really hard to tell which one is which from the website, having not been there for 3.5 years. So, but I really like these. They're just so much fun. And I only use about half the skein, so I can use the other half for something else, which is awesome. Same thing. I just did 32 rounds here with like 12 rounds of ribbing. These socks are knitted from the cuff down. I do all my socks cuff down magic loop style. And that's how it's written, with a heel flap and gusset and wedge toe. But if you prefer a different style, it's really easy to rework, as long as you know what you're doing. Like if you want to use DPNs or tiny 9-inch circulars, or you want to do like the 2 24-inch circulars, which still boggles my mind. I have no idea how that even works. But I am so in awe of people who knit that way. Please go for it. Obviously you can substitute a short row heel of your choosing if you don't like a heel flap and gusset. You can even do an afterthought heel if you wanted. And you can do any toe that you want that fits. You know, I think it should be clear enough. If you know how to do whatever toe and heel and whatever you want, it should be pretty, you know, I'm sure that you will be able to do that. I wrote in the like description for the pattern, like you can even knit them from the toe up if you want, but obviously the pattern would be flipped around, so I'm not sure what it would look like, but I'm sure it would look cool. I guess the feather would just be pointing up instead of down, but that's cool. I mean, do your thing. I think it's super fun when people do different things with patterns. I find it crazy when, no offense, if you're one of these people, but I find it like a little crazy when designers are like, you can't make modifications in my pattern. I'm like, it's not for you. Like, who cares? Like, let somebody modify it the way that they want. Who gives a flying F? So please modify it to suit your needs. Just don't sell it. Like, I guess. So this is my third sample. So I actually asked my friend Brie, like, what color do you want? And she said either a cream or a burgundy. And I already had the creamish with speckles, and I was like, I don't know if that's the right size for Brie. So I made this pair actually pretty recently. You probably saw me working on them through Tiny Desk Knitting recently. And so it turns out that they're really fun in a dark color with a speckle. Or no speckle, excuse me, a dark color with no tonalness at all, just plain old dark color. And this is a beautiful yarn. It's the Lang Yawool Superwash 75/25, which comes with these. Thank you so much to all the people who explain that this is reinforcing thread for the toes and heels. Clearly I didn't use it. I'm just going to give it to my friends who like to embroider because I'm sure they'll enjoy it. But that's such a cool thing. Like, you can reinforce your heels and toes with this extra nylon to make them stronger. I don't think that I will need to do that because my friend Brie will probably just wear these in her apartment. So, and I made them the size large. Like, I wanted them to be kind of like slipper style, little loose fun. Same thing, just a 32 round leg. I really had no desire to knit like a longer version of this sock. I assume people will. Please do that. I mean, if you prefer your socks to be 60 to 64 rounds, whatever. It's an 8-round repeat, but you can stop it wherever you want as long as you make a note of where you stopped, so that you can pick it up when you pick up the heel stitches, that you can pick it up in the same place, and that maybe you could repeat that for the second sock if you want them to be the same length. But yeah, obviously do your thing. For some reason, I just like couldn't be bothered to knit longer socks, I guess. Anytime, but I am super pleased. Maybe this will be the little cover for YouTube. I don't think that they take my interests into account when I am given the options to choose an AI selected image for my thumbnail, but if I hate all of them, then sometimes I just go and watch it and I screenshot. So there's my screenshot, just in case my future self needs that. Hopefully I remember that it was about 16 minutes in. So yeah, this is a lace pattern, so I guess like a 2-ply may be ideal, but I did 2 of these in 4-ply. If you want a woollier yarn, you can get Rambler from the Woolly Thistle. I always plug the Woolly Thistle because I'm an affiliate. So shop with the Woolly Thistle because you're not going to be disappointed. Or like a Drover, Daughter of a Shepherd Drover would be really pretty. Or actually, you know what is 2-ply is the Garthenor Snowdonia yarn. I don't have a sample of any. Oh, it's over there. I did knit a sample in Garthenor Snowdonia yarn of my Mary Bennett socks, and you can get that at the Woolly Thistle. And they just got a new shipment, and they don't get shipments of Garthenor Snowdonia very often. So if you want to snag those, you could do that. A couple skeins. Those are 50-gram skeins, so you're gonna maybe need 2. But they come in a lot of fun colors now. When I first got that yarn, they only came in the natural colors, but now they have dyed ones, and they're all pretty, like really pretty. I love them. So yeah, this is my smoothie o'clock. Sorry, that was really gross. There was like a piece of cereal in that. Awesome. No. So yeah, where was I? Sock yarn. Yeah, do your thing, knit all the fun socks. So speaking of socks, on that note, I finished my Catherine Morland socks, which are right here. Gosh. In this Malabrigo sock. Not the ultimate sock, this is just the regular Malabrigo sock in colorway Archangel. These are like a really simple textured sock with just knits and purls, so very suitable for beginner sock knitter. And I think the fun part about these socks is that you can really use any yarn, because you can even use self-striping, which I think I have done before. I think I did a pair of these some years ago. I gave them to my coworker Julie, who is very noteworthy. I knitted them into, it was like a white with a yarn held double, and I striped it myself. It wasn't a self-striping yarn, but I did stripes, and it was like reds and greens alternating, so they were like Christmassy. And they were really fun. And I have done this in lots of speckled yarns. The first pair I knitted was crazy. It was like knitted in this Christmassy yarn from Sock Squad, Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad, like, I don't know, several years ago when I got the Sock Squad. It was 2021 when I got the Sock Squad, so I guess it would have been Christmas 2021. And it had like a really fun, like pink, crazy pink and red speckly main yarn, and then a bright green mini, and they were really fun. I might still have them. I feel like I gave them to my friend Tara. If I didn't, I meant to. So I should see if I still have them. And if not, I should find them and give them to Tara. But, because she loves Christmas. A lot of people love Christmas, but Tara, when we were growing up especially, like, loved Christmas. We were in church choirs together, and it was just like her favorite thing in the world. So that pair of socks is fun. But then I also knitted a pair of solid version of that socks for my friend Mike a few years ago in like this, what was that yarn that the Woolly Thistle had? I don't think they still have it. It was like that, what's that company? It's a US company. I have a skein of their yarn right here. Oh, Jagger Spun. This is not the sock yarn. This is their like regular yarn, but Jagger Spun sock yarn. I used that yarn for the solid version, and it was also really nice. They were really soft. It's a nice superwash yarn, but it doesn't have any nylon in it. It's like 100% wool, high twist, 4-ply. It was great. I don't know if he likes them. I've never asked, but I assume that they suit him. So, yeah, you can really do this. Like, I find it to be a very unisex sock. Like, if you want to make a sock for a dude who's like, I want plain dark socks, works great. If you want to make a sock for somebody who's like, I guess a woman could also, or a non-binary person could also want plain dark socks. If you want somebody who wants like very loud socks, also works there. It kind of explodes the texture kind of like explodes the fun quality of the yarn that you use, which I think is really exciting. So yeah, go forth and do that when I release the pattern in a month. So this is the only sample that I have though, because this one that I just showed you, because I gave all the other ones away. Unless I didn't give that one Christmassy pair away, but I think I must have, because I don't know where it is if I still have it. So hopefully I gave that away. So then I cast on new socks. This, I don't know when. Whenever I finished that pair of Catherine Morland socks, I was like, great, I'm going to cast on the new Helen Stewart socks, which were called the Bookbinder socks. So I cast them on. I knitted like 50 rounds of them, and then I tried to put it over my foot, and it didn't fit, which is user error. It's not Helen's fault. I just probably should have used a bigger needle because it has cables in it, which really pull something in. So yeah, I should have just knitted the bigger size, or knitted them on a bigger needles. Perhaps I could have switched to the smaller needles when I got to the foot, but then I was like, so I ripped it out, and I was like, you know what? This is too much effort right now. My brain needs something that is like memorizable and just like, actually the Bookbinder pattern was pretty memorizable. I just like didn't, cables are a lot on socks. I've learned my lesson. All the honey bunches of oats that I put in the smoothie when I was eating it out of the bowl floated to the top. So I'm trying not to be gross. Anyway, I ripped them out, and I decided to knit. Let me show you actually. Let me just pause this. Okay, I brought my whole bag of socks over here. I knitted this pair last year. I think some people were like, please release that. And I was like, no, I will eventually, but not now. I knitted this pair of socks. This was back when my friends were doing the like yarns that they put in the bag, or like in the surprise packages for me on my birthday that I made them do. So I knitted like there was like the blue smaller skein, and then the like sand colored kind of funky speckly larger skein, and I did this, and then Monica got mad because she thought I should have done color work with it, and I said sorry. I actually did have so much left over though of both of these colors that I probably could do a color work sock. So I thought this was fun, and I didn't know what like I would, do what character it would be from a book, or like if I was gonna name it after something else. But I did just decide to knit another one. And I also do know what the character is gonna be now, which I will tell you, because apparently I'm not very good at keeping secrets. So here is my next sample of this, which is done. This is a 3-ply sock yarn that I got from Dyer Supplier, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer. And I did this kind of dusky rose color that I've probably shown before, that I really like. I think it's really beautiful. So I've decided to after I finish with the Jane Austen socks, which will be sometime early next year probably. I have a schedule. And hey, I'm on it because, well, the feather socks aren't part of the Jane Austen socks, but they were a pair of socks that I had designed that I wanted to release, and I have a schedule. So I just really need to kind of get on it. I have my October is ready, so I have a while. And after this pair, I really probably need to start working on some of those other samples. So I'll do a November and a December. Yeah, and I'll just keep going until I'm done next year, hopefully releasing patterns on the 1st of every month. And then, so I still have to do, if you're following along, Lydia Bennet. Well, Catherine Morland's coming out on October 1st, and then I have to do Catherine Morland. Lydia Bennet, Mrs. Bennet. I'm also going to do Mr. Bennet. And Mrs. Bennet and Mr. Bennet are going to be the same sock, but the Mrs. Bennet one's going to be just like a single strand, and the Mr. Bennet one's going to be held double. Like a double thick sock. I have to do both Dashwoods, Eleanor and Marianne. And I have to do Fanny, and I have to do Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And I think that's it. I've done Catherine, Emma, Jane, not Jane. I have done Jane. I was thinking of Anne Elliot. And the rest of the Bennets. So that's all of them. Because then I have to do 2 from Sense and Sensibility, 1 from Mansfield Park, and then the rest of Pride and Prejudice, and then Catherine Morland from Northanger Abbey. So that's going to be all. But I'm only like half done, I guess, because there's a lot of Jane Austen characters that I'm still missing. I have no idea if I will do like the male characters from Jane Austen. I don't think they're as important. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. Depends on if the mood strikes. I am going to do Mr. Bennet because I think he's funny. So that'll be good. But anyway, I've decided to do Little Women socks after that. And I have 3 already patterns. So this is going to be Meg March. I don't know if I'm going to show you the rest of them right now. But I still have to think about Amy. And I have an idea, but I don't know if it's good. But people might like it. Anyway, I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to do for Amy. I think Amy's complicated and you could go a lot of different directions. But I thought that like Meg March is somebody who would like, you know, want to make something really, really beautiful, even though like she can't afford like luxury because of the choices that she makes in her life. But that's okay. You know, funny, I didn't actually like Meg March that much when I read the book. But I really liked the way that Emma Watson played her in the 2019 movie. So I guess Meg is okay after all. And I have a Jo sock and I have a Beth sock, but the Beth sock needs a lot of tweaking. Well, not a lot of tweaking, but I have made a couple decisions about that sock that the sample was really just me like getting an idea out of my head, and I need to work on it a little bit more. So, but I just thought this was like the perfect color for Meg March. And this is a really simple pattern. It's like a 4-round repeat, and there's only 2 different lace rows, but it's all over, so it's pretty. And it's also a 6 stitch repeat, which is different from my usual. Like I usually do multiples of 8, or I'll do like a panel across the front, but the whole thing will be like 64 or a multiple of 8, usually 56, 62, or 64 and 72. I'll do, so this one will have a 60 and we'll have a 72, and this is the 60. And I do think it's quite a stretchy pattern naturally because of this, and I will confirm that by putting this on my foot right now. Yeah, it's like a little bit tighter than normal, but it fits like a normal sock. So should be all fine. Sorry for doing this, but now you can see what the pattern looks like a little bit better. And I'm impressed with how flexible I am, able to reach my leg up there. Okay, so that's that. There's a lot of other socks in there, but I'm gonna keep some of them under wraps. I don't know. Feel like I can't show all my cards right now, because what am I gonna have to talk about for like the next 5 months if I do? And so I think I talked about this before. My mom and I definitely talked about it when we were chatting on the podcast about my aunt's pop-up that she's gonna do around Black Friday. and she asked me and my mom and my cousin and my other aunt if we would all like want to send stuff to contribute to sell. And I said, sure, I can do cozies. So I had this one done from my little whip challenge. And now that I am no longer doing this whip challenge, which I should probably keep working on these whips. I still haven't even touched that pink sweater. So I need to, this would have been a good day to do it. But I need to, maybe next weekend. We'll see. Yeah, this one, I got just inspired today to cast on another one, which I'll probably finish before I go to run club. So I've already basically eaten I'll probably eat dinner after run club because I just ate potato salad. So this is, I had a mitten that I was working on in these colors, which you may remember from like 4 months ago, that I decided I didn't want to finish because I just didn't really feel the urge to continue knitting it. So I just ripped it out and now it's a cozy. I'm not using the same pattern, but I am using the same order of colors. They are just leftover greens. The bright green is a Rama Lamel Garn. The next one, this green, is Tuku Wool fingering weight. And then I have 2 colors of Jamieson's of Shetland. I know the first one is Moss, but I'm not sure what the other one is. And then this orange is actually a Rosa Pomar Peggle Hall yarn. I knitted a vanilla sweater in this orange and also this Tuku Wool green. So that's fun. So yeah, I was working on this when I was talking to my mom. These take me just a couple of hours to make. So I'm gonna try to knock a few of these out, maybe one or two every week, so that I have a bunch to send to my aunt and my cousin for their pop-up in November. If you live in the Bay Area, you can go buy one. That'll be fun. And these are just fun because they're scrappy. So let's see, let me just detangle this sock and put it like somewhere else. Yeah, you can stash dive for these if you have any kind of fingering weight scraps. I almost always use Shetland because I just prefer to do Fair Isle knitting with Shetland scraps or similar like woolly. Like for instance, yeah, this is Shetland, but like this is Rama. There's a ton of this. And Lamel Garn is really similar in weight and feel because it's woolly to the Shetland. This is Spindrift, but also J&S. I'm not using, the white. I was gonna say I'm not using J&S, but the background white is J&S in one. I think it's 1 and not 1A, but it might be 1A. I don't know. It's a white and on off-white. And I have a bigger ball of this Tuku Wool because this was left over from a sweater. The rest of these are just, well, the orange was also left over from a sweater. But these are my colors. Those are my 5 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus this. So I usually use 5 colors. And this is, as you'll see, not the same colorwork pattern. I had this one saved just on my desktop, so I'll probably publish this one too. Maybe I'll publish a few. I would like to just go through Selbu Mittens and have of just some more variations. No 2 should be alike even. I mean, obviously no 2 will be alike. You could do 2 the same, but I don't like that. I think it's boring. This is my favorite one. And I usually do this so that it has you've probably seen it, it has a brightly colored background, shifting colors, and then the star itself is white, but I did it opposite this time with the black background on this bright kind of star pattern. I love this pattern. This is my Starry Cup Cozy, which you can buy on Ravelry, somewhere up there. Yeah. And it fits around like the Starbucks reusable cups, and I just think that is fabulous. I love using them. I think it's fun. I usually keep one of those on my desk at work. I just drink water out of it. So, but you can use it on a coffee cup if it's like, when you get the like cardboard one. You can even put it on a cardboard coffee cup. I just always tell people, don't throw away the cozy. But like I usually just go stash diving in this. Obviously the Shetland, it's not very well organized right now. This one is particularly just everything is fallen over backwards. So I may reorganize it. I should, but I probably won't realistically for a while. This bag is full of Scraps of John Arbon Harvest Hues, which is actually quite fun. It's a fun yarn. These are just, this is all the neutrals that I have that are like left over from larger projects that I use for cup cozies and colorwork things. This bag is, I would like to knit because I have so many of these. I knitted a cowl. It's probably not super far away. My Forget-Me-Not cowl, I think that's what I named it, in these Harvest Hues minis, and I didn't use very much of each, so I was thinking of knitting a vest with these with like a light gray background. I have a bunch of this light gray Lamelgarn also. I think somebody sent it to me. It's a really light gray. I don't think that this lighting is very good for doing it justice, but I think it would be a nice background for a Fair Isle vest. So maybe I'll do that at some point, not super soon. I thought about doing it this fall, and then I was like, no. Also don't know where all of the colors are. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in here, so I'm missing 2. There's an orange missing. I think there's 2 oranges missing. Maybe I don't need to use orange for the vest. But I usually just pick colors from this bucket of scraps of, there's not as many as there used to be. I guess I've done a good job using some of them up. These are just like Shetland and Shetland adjacent colors that are just like scrap. So I often use these when I am knitting the cup cozies. I just pick 5 colors and I knit a cozy. Sometimes they all make sense together, like they're all blues or something, and sometimes they're totally random. Usually I'll have like a pop, like, you know, I'll do a bunch of blues and then like this will be in the middle or something. That would be fun. Maybe I should do that. And I have this like bigger one, like that could be a background color for like a bunch of darker foreground colors or something. There's a lot of options in here. Plus I just have like anything that I want to use up there as well. So that's fun. Lots of choice. I could do this in hand spun if I had scraps. You know, you can feel free to choose your own adventure for sure with these. I have a huge bag of sock scrap yarn that I would use if I didn't have all of the Shetland scrap yarn. I try to use sock scrap yarn in socks. I used a bunch of it for my sea glass tee a few years ago, which was really fun. But like, yeah, I just, I don't know why I keep so many scraps around. I don't tend to use them that often, but I get excited when I do find a way to use them, so that's good. Oh, I do have my leftover yarn from my Glinda and Alphaba cowls, so I'll probably make cup cozies with those colorways as well. That'll be fun and cute and nice and cohesive. So yeah, otherwise I've just been working mostly on my what was this called? The Louise pullover by Sari Nordlund. I've done a little bit more on this. That's the join, so there's definitely some inches. Again, looks so small because I haven't blocked it, but I'm confident that it will fit me. I mean, it almost fits now. Just, it's like those scrunched up t-shirts. Millennials, you know what I'm talking about. There were these like scrunched up, they were so weird. They looked like they were like this big, but they were just made out of this material that was like, I don't know how they did it. It was like, I can't even describe it. They look like tiny little cloth pyramids that would like expand if you put the shirt on. My friend Ivy had one, I think. Ivy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if you didn't, but like in my memory, you might have had one of these. And you could put it on, it looked like a normal shirt, but like it was just crazy. And I'm like, yeah, this is what that's gonna be like, hopefully. So I've been chugging away at this a little bit, although yeah, I haven't knitted too much. I did not have to go to jury duty last week. I was talking about jury duty and how I was gonna bring my wooden needles in. A bunch of people were like, you can't bring wooden needles in, and I was like, really? They must have changed the rules. And then when I called the hotline the night before, they did say like, you can absolutely not bring this, and it also said it on the website, and I was like, well, it's a good thing all these people told me this, although I guess I would have realized it from the call because it said you can't bring craft needles, including crochet hooks now. So they must just be tightening up. But yeah, like, so in Baltimore, I don't know if it's like this everywhere because I've never done jury duty anywhere else, but they send you a letter in the mail that's the summons, and they're like, this is your number. And my number was like 87 something, 8735. It wasn't that, but it was something like, I know it started with 87 and it was 4 digits. It's like an 8,000 number. So you have to call a hotline or go online to see like if your number is in the called numbers for the next day. So I called and then they never announced the numbers, but I went online and they were like, only 8,000 through 8,500 have to come in. And I was like, sick. So I didn't actually have to go to jury duty. I went to work instead, which was way more productive, to be honest. I was gonna like do work at the courthouse and like study for my coaching exam, which I had 30 days to take that after the test. And I thought about doing it on Saturday. I don't really have to study because I have a book. It's open note. But you know, I like to review the material so that I know what I know, and I know how to find it in the book if I need to reference it. So ended up, I was going to do it on Saturday, but then I was like super tired because I didn't eat enough after my long run, and I like completely crashed, took a nap, basically couldn't function. Which was fine because I didn't have anything else to do. And also learned my lesson about making sure I have groceries in the house that I need to like function post run. Like, what I didn't have specifically was Greek yogurt, which I use for my smoothie, which is a massive source of protein for me. And also bananas, which I keep frozen. And I make, like when I come back from my run, I make a protein shake that's like dairy milk, which also has protein, chocolate protein powder from Costco, which also is a ton of protein, and then a frozen banana, which makes it more of like a whipped, frothy, like Frappuccino texture. And it like adds some carbs because you're supposed to have carbs and protein. Or actually, I'm supposed to have way more carbs than protein when you come back from a run. But to get around that, I also eat half of an English muffin that I don't eat before. Like I make an English muffin before the run and I only eat half of it. So I eat the second half. I'm trying to dial my nutrition, as you can tell. My mom thinks I'm crazy. But I just think that you have to be really attentive so that you don't die. Hence all my smoothies. But yeah, I couldn't make my smoothie because I didn't have any yogurt. I could have made it with something else, but I was like, why bother? This is what I drink. So yeah. That's why I crashed and could not take my run coaching exam. I don't think I would have done that after a long run anyway, because honestly, I just would have been like dead, brain dead. Like my brain would not have been functioning correctly. So I took it this morning. It's an online test. And I was like, it took me about an hour. It's 100 questions. It took me an hour, almost exactly an hour. Which to me is pretty decent because you can literally open it up and have 30 days to like read, save, go through the questions, change your answers, whatever, until you hit submit. It took me 1 hour, top to tail. And there were like 4 questions where I was like, the wording of this is terrible. Because it really could mean 2 different things. Or like, I really don't think that this is in the book. I was wrong about one of them. So there were only 3 that turned out to be that super confusing. Also, the one that I was wrong about, I answered it correctly. Because then when I went back and was like reading it after, because the grind never stops. I want to be a good coach. I need to clearly know what I'm doing and take notes and all that stuff. But I was just antsy to take the test. So I did it. Anyway, I got a 98%. There were 100 questions, so I got 98 right. I was very frustrated that they wouldn't tell me which 2 I got wrong. Like, they don't, like, show you, like, the feedback. And then I read the email about it again, and they were like, if you want your feedback, we will send it to you at your request if you email us, but only after 30 days. So Nitin said he thought it was because that they could prevent, like, cheating. Which he was like, well, I don't know why they would do that because it's an open note test, so it doesn't really matter. But I was like, that's probably exactly why. Like, you probably hit it right on the nose. They're just trying to prevent cheating. So anyway, I passed it and I'm a certified coach now, which is cool. And yeah, that's fun. So I've just been busy. I also, like, last week I had a lot to do. I went to trivia on Wednesday with my 2 running friends. I didn't bring my knitting to that. Went out to dinner on Thursday with Jill from the Woolly Thistle, who's like one of my favorite people. Hi, Jill. Jill watches this. Most of the time I have no idea who watches this, but I know that some of the Woolly Thistle folks do. Jill doesn't work there anymore because she's semi-retired, but she was in the area, so we got to go to dinner with her, and that was so fun. Just like, she's the best. You're the best, Jill. So we talked about knitting, and it was great. Jill's husband Dave also knits, and then their child Ven is the best person ever at the Woolly Thistle. So I was watching the Shopcast the other day, and Karine and Maggie were talking about how Ven keeps the whole shop running, and I was like, yeah, it would just like collapse, I think. Like, they just know everything. That's amazing. So yeah, that was great. And then Saturday I was just like dead. I did knit a lot on Saturday, or I knitted some of Saturday, and then yesterday I was at the soccer game, so I didn't really knit yesterday either. So I didn't really do much knitting last week, just because of like a bunch of stuff I was doing instead. And that's okay. Sometimes we have weeks that we don't do as much, because for like, I'm not prioritizing this. This is like my mental health hobby that I do for fun, because I have so much yarn. I gotta knit through it before I die. Obviously, hopefully I'm a very long way from that, but I also have so much yarn that's like, I should really make sure I'm making a dent. So yeah, I have been doing that. But okay, so this is also so nerdy, but I'm gonna tell you before I sign off. I last week went to when I was driving down to Bethesda to meet Jill and Dave, and I was with Nitin, and I was like, we were gonna do this on Friday, but then I decided to do it on Thursday. Because we went to go see the movie The Roses on Friday, because I love Olivia Colman, and also everyone else in that movie, but most especially Olivia Colman. And it was so funny. Like, wow. I mean, Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch were amazing, but the movie would have been great just with them if the like other supporting characters weren't amazing. But like, the main two supporting characters were Kate McKinnon and Andy Samberg, and I mean, like, truly two of SNL's best to ever do it. Like, when I was in high school, my friends and I used to watch Andy Samberg's movie Hot Rod all the time, which is, if you haven't seen it, I mean, if you like the dumbest humor you've ever encountered, please watch Hot Rod, because it is so funny. It's so stupid. Some of you have probably seen it and you're like, wow, that's a deep cut. It's a movie from 2007 about how Andy Samberg likes to crash his motorcycle. It is so funny, and so stupid, but it has like an SNL all-star cast, so it's just amazing, and I'm sure that like 90% of it was improvised. So anyway, that movie was great, but we were gonna go to the store, the pen store. That's what I'm getting at. Sorry, it took 2 minutes to get to that. I went to the pen boutique. So if you like pens, like fancy fountain pen type stuff and like ink, you can order, this is why I'm talking about it, from the Pen Boutique online. So like, if you love pens and you were in the US, you probably know about Jet Pens, which my mom told me about because she's really into pens. That is a great store. Online, it's huge. They have a ton of stuff. Pen Boutique is like an actual store that you can go to. It's not very big, but they have a ton of stuff. And they have this big back room that clearly has like a bunch of other stuff, because every time I was like, do you have this? They were like, yep. And they went to get it for me. And I was like, wow, why isn't it out here? Because there's not space, I guess. But they have a ton of inks, like really beautiful, specialized inks. They have incredible pens. They have like cases for your pens. They have rollerball, fountain pen, like ballpoint, you know, everything. They have, you know, cartridges. They have bottled inks. So I have several pens, and I guess I can show you because they're all here. Usually one of them is at school, but I took it home so that I could write with it this weekend and put new ink in it. So this is one of my pens. This is a William Morris pen from Retro 51. It's like a tornado pen or whatever. This was a gift. A friend of mine gave this to me when I was in her wedding. Actually, she sometimes watches this. Lila, if you're watching and you've made it this far, I love this pen and I use it every day. So thank you so much for this. It has a medium nib, and you know, it just has like this is a converter, but you can also use a standard international short or long cartridge in this pen. I'm not a pen salesperson. I'm a pen enthusiast. So if you like pens, this is a really beautiful pen. I do feel like I do have to kind of rinse out the tip like every week or so, because the ink kind of gets stuck even if I keep it upright, which I always do. And then I have, well, the other, I'll show you one more pen. This is my favorite work pen, but I brought it home. This one is a Scrivener pen, and I bought this on Amazon because they didn't have it at Pen Boutique or Jet Pens. But it is like amazing. It wasn't, I mean, like the Tornado pen is like a really fancy pen. This one was like not as expensive, I think. This is the British Racing Green colorway. I'll link this. I bought this on Amazon, so I'll just link that one, even though I don't love to support Bezos, because he doesn't really need our support. But this is amazing. It's a fine nib pen. I mean, the weight is like perfect. It has like a very satisfying click. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I keep this at work because I want to use it at work. Same thing, it just screws open, and I have a converter in there with blue ink, but the same as the other one can take short or long international cartridges. I love the long international cartridges because they last forever. So I have these two pens, and I like to fill them myself. Even though they have converters, which means you can dip the nib into the ink bottle and just like unscrew and like it will fill up. I don't like to use those I try not to, because it's really messy. And you know, in some ways, I guess it's just kind of an unavoidable mess if you have like ink, but, I prefer to use a syringe, and you can actually just take a standard international cartridge, short or long, and just inject more ink into it and then use it in your pen again. And eventually maybe the like thing that, you know, it will get like loose because you've used it a bunch of times and it might start leaking, but I'm sure you could fill up a cartridge 5 to 10 times, maybe more. So I keep my ink in this drawer in my desk. So I just use this syringe to fill, and you can, you know, wash the syringe. Like you can just suck water into it and like, you know, to clear it out when you're done. There's a little bit of purple ink in this syringe because I injected some purple ink into a pen recently. And I bought 3 inks because I wanted to celebrate the first day of school. So, and ink, like bottled ink, doesn't tend to be that expensive, and it will last a really long time. So this is a diamine ink in Bilberry, which is like a really nice purple. I really, really like this color. It's kind of it's like a more blue purple, which is what I wanted. This is my favorite red. This is a Jacques Herbin ink, and this is just the bottle, but it comes in cartridges as well, so you can see that brand. This is just like, I think this is the best red that's ever been, ever. It's like a slightly more blue red. These are just cartridges, but this is a long cartridge, a standard international long cartridge, and I love these. Again, fabulous color, so I keep these around. I'll probably bring these to work because now I have this bottle. I also have a green set of cartridges from them. I got these at the Pen Boutique like in January. I also really love this green, Amazon green, but I wanted this in a bottle because it's the best, and they had it. And you like this huge bottle, it's like 50 milliliters. I don't know. It's like a 50 milliliter bottle. This was like $17. It's like, wow, that's a pretty good deal. That's a lot of ink. I mean, like, that's a lot of these cartridges, and like this packet of cartridges costs like $12, so you're getting your money's worth with a bottle. And then I got a bottle of Sailor ink, which is like expensive. This is the smallest bottle that I got, and this was the most expensive one, but it was a pretty blue, so I got it, and it's in my Scrivener pen, and I love it. So not about knitting, but it is about color. I also sometimes will like inject, like if I have a cartridge that's full of like blue ink, I'll just like be like, ooh, let's put this teal ink in because it's half empty, and then it mixes and it's like really pretty and fun. So I also like to mix colors. Like you can tell that like I love color and I love stuff like that. And then I have like, you have to get a good notebook. I like a Rhodia notebook. That's my favorite, but I think Clairefontaine is good. I also have this one, which I got at the Pen Boutique. My coaching notes are in here. So you can, this is a nice thing. This was a very expensive notebook. I got this last week, but it has a lot of pages in it, and it's made in Japan. So it is extremely high quality, and it does not bleed. And I think I can write a lot of stuff in there. So yeah. So that's my other thing that I did last week that I spent a lot of money on. I can always find a lot of ways to spend a lot of money on stuff. So anyway, I think that's all. I am looking forward to working on this cup cozy and maybe making a couple more, getting some sock done. Helen Stewart's coming out with a new pattern this week, so maybe I'll cast that on. I have a spare sock needle, so I might. But I also really have to get a few things done. The Lydia Bennett sock is not going to knit itself, and then I have to knit a second sample of those. I think that's going to be my December sock. That's the goal. Oh no, maybe November. So I only have a couple months to knit that. So better do it. As though I could, as though it will take me 2 months to knit 3 socks. It could. That has happened in the past. So I got to be careful. But that's all I've been up to. And I love 3-day weekends so much. I have not talked. Well, I talked to my mom today, but I haven't talked to another person like with my voice today, other than like the checkout person at Giant at the grocery store. And to be honest, like I am kind of extroverted. I love people, but I also love to be by myself when I've been with a lot of people, like to recharge. So I'm really grateful for just like a day to kind of like do nothing, didn't even run. It was awesome, to be honest. Don't love it too often, and I have to be careful on days I don't run to not have very much caffeine, because that really helps my body. I don't know if that's like a scientific thing, but running tires me out enough to go to bed, I guess, anyway. But if I don't run, I have to be careful about the amount of caffeine I have, because sometimes it's hard to fall asleep at night, even though I stopped drinking caffeine at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So yeah. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm going to stop because this is 56 minutes long now. And I didn't think this was going to be that long because I didn't have that much to share. But thanks so much for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye.